Alright guys, so this is going to be part 1 to what if Deku had Majin Buu's powers. If you guys remember, like 2 videos ago or 3, I actually made like a kind of a poll to see what you guys wanted, and this was second place. So the votes were 6 for Broly and then 4 for Boo. So let's get into how what Majin Buu is in Dragon Ball Z. So Buu is a creature that was made when the universe of Universe 7 in Dragon Ball was created. So they're both the same age. He's the same age as the universe because they were both created at the same time. So he's like the embodiment of destruction. Not the god of destruction, but he kind of represents destruction in his own way because that's all he does. So what are the abilities that he's able to do? First, as you could tell by his appearance, he's pink and he's very elastic, and he's able to actually take pieces of himself and throw it onto other people to either use it as a binding kind of thing like rope, or he could actually use that part of him to actually absorb them into himself and make him stronger. As you can see on the screen, that's Buhan. So yeah, there's basic abilities that he could do that all Buus can do. There's things like the candy beam, where he could shoot a beam from his like antenna that's on his head and turn people into candy or other sweets. We don't know if this could actually change him to like things that are not food because it's never been done, but he usually turns them into like sweets. With Majin Buu, he has infinite stamina, so he never really gets tired. There's things like regeneration. Like if you think back to all the Dragon Ball Z villains, except for Vegeta, they all have some sort of regeneration. Frieza, when he transforms, he gets like when he transforms, he becomes stronger and he regenerates the wounds that he got from the previous battle, but it's not really that strong of regeneration. Cell, it's even better. He's able to get his he's able to like regenerate from one cell and come back. Majin Buu is like a whole different level. Like when he was in the room of spirit and time, or the hyperbolic time chamber, the gold tanks was just shooting pieces of him and turning into smoke, and he was actually able to regenerate from that. So it's very hard to destroy him. I'm also going to use some feats that other Buus have done that should be coincide with others. There's the feat with Super Buu, where he's able to yell so like loud that he's actually able to penetrate other universes or other dimension. He's able to escape the room of spirit and time. There's things like the feat that Buhan was able to do, where he was actually threatening the universe when he got angry enough. He wasn't going to destroy the universe outright, but what he was doing was he was going to make our universe collide with another, and that was going to like end it. He was able to do this by just being angry enough. I don't know if it was similar to what he did before, but that's one of the abilities he could do if he was strong enough, I guess. For the sake of this what if, we're not going to give Deku the same potential as Majin Buu, because Majin Buu is like his potential is like nominal, whatever. It's basically literally almost infinite, because if you see in Dragon Ball Super, he trained for an hour, got buff, and then was relative to Super Saiyan Blue Goku, and you might argue saying he was just holding back, but if you look at you can watch like a video by Seth the Programmer, and where he talks about how all the potential that Majin Buu has. then you could see how it actually makes sense in the story why he would be that strong. So let's get to the what if. So Deku growing up, he was born looking like a Majin. His skin was pink, his hair was, it looked like a mix. Like, how do I explain this? Like a bunch of tentacles put together to make it look like the hair that he has now. And basically, as a kid, he's very popular because of how he looks. He looks very interesting, and he's able to make candy for everyone. So his quirk is actually called bubblegum because of his appearance, how his body works, and the stuff he's able to create. Like, he's able to create other sweets, but he mostly makes gum because that's what he likes. Oh yeah, and he can't get cavities. Let me just mention that. So like no one nitpicks about how many like sweets he gets. So he's a very popular kid because of these facts, right? Because kids like candy, and he looks cool, right? And he's able to stretch his limbs. I forgot that's also another power Majin Buu can do. So when Bakugo actually gets his quirk, Deku's actually there to like keep him in check from stopping him from like bullying others, because whenever he tries to bully others, he would just be their shield. He would like spread out his arms and like try to cover as much area as he can, because his explosions aren't really gonna do much. He would shoot it at him, and then they would just like, his body would just stretch out, as like a cartoon, eating like a cartoon character eating a stick of dynamite. He would just expand, and that'd just be it. And Deku would just take a piece of himself and just throw it at him, and it would wrap around himself. He wouldn't absorb him, obviously, but he would just like contain him until he would calm down. So Deku would be even like more popular because of how he handles situations like these. So he would be admired because of the fact. And at this point, he doesn't know he could turn other people into candy because he's never tried it. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention this. If you turn someone to candy and they're stronger than you, then they're actually able to fight back. You can see this with Buhan versus Vegito. So yeah. So when we get to the last day of middle school, and Deku's walking home, this is when the sludge villain actually comes to attack him. But the difference is that the sludge villain can't really contain him, because he's also elastic, or he's also like, how to explain this, like also fluid-esque. Deku not ever fighting anyone that's like this villain, he kind of panics, and he actually uses his candy beam on him and turns him into a gumball. So this is around the time that All Might comes through and says, "I am here," and he's like, where's the villain? And Deku explains like, "Oh, he's right here. I turned him into a gumball." And he's like, "Whoa, kid, what's your quirk?" And he's like, "Oh, it's called bubblegum. My skin is pink and elastic, and I'm able to turn things into sweets." And All Might's like, "Oh, that's pretty interesting, man. You could probably you're probably popular at school because of that." And he's like, "Yeah." Well, he's like, "Oh, All Might, can you sign this my notebook?" And he does. And All Might takes the gumball so he could turn it into the police. But I would say that his candy beam would only have a certain amount of range, and the effects would wear off because of how strong the slime is. So like when it gets to when All Might starts jumping to building, I would say that the sludge villain would transform back into his normal form and fall onto the streets below, and this is when Bakugo was there. So what happens is it's similar to the anime where Bakugo's tied up and losing air because of the slime, and Deku is, walking home, and that's when he hears the explosions and the fire. And All Might also realizes this because he feels like his pockets are slightly lighter, and he when he goes to check his pockets, the gumball's not there. So he rushes over there, but he turns back into a Small Might form because he doesn't have enough time. And this is when Deku actually sees what's happening. He's like, oh my gosh, what happened? Why is the sludge villain still here? I thought All Might took him. And without thinking, he starts rushing in there, and everyone's telling him to get back because he's still a kid. But he runs in there and he turns Deku he turns the sludge villain back into a candy ball or a gumball. And if you guys want, I could draw a Deku where he's a Majin. If you guys want that, just let me know. Let's get back to the story. So he turns it back into a gumball, and this is when Bakugo actually thanks him, and All Might comes through using turning back into his ball form, and he congratulates the kid, and everyone there actually cheers, and says, wow, that's a pretty powerful quirk you got there. You could stop any fight you want. And I would say Bakugo was actually, he would actually thank him in this one because he would be still conscious, and he's been friends with Deku for a long time, and he was kind of there to humble him. So we get later, where it's around a sundown or sunset, I'm not sure which, and this is when All Might comes through. All Might would say, young man, you have shown me some great heroism. For that, I have chosen you to become my successor. And Deku, I don't think he would cry, but he'd be very grateful for this situation, and he accepts the offer. So All Might says, what we need to do is train your body, even though at this point Deku's body should be able to handle One For All because of its regeneration and how elastic his body is, and I don't even think he has bones. So yeah, but they're just doing this just in case. So these 9 months, Deku's training himself physically and using some of his quirk, he's using his quirk. He's taking pieces of his body and kind of using it as rope to kind of strengthen it and see how much he could actually take off of himself. So he does that on the beach. He's not allowed to use his candy beam to make it that easy. So after the 9 months, or the 10 months, this is when All Might gives him the piece of the hair so he could get One For All. And when we get to the exam, I think Deku would do the same as usual, but on the theoretical exam. But the actual hero course, or not hero course, the actual combat version of the exam, I think Deku would just go around turning, things into candy, and just crushing the candy balls or the gumballs. And when he gets to the 0 point robot, this is when he remembers back when All Might would say how to do a smash, and this is what he actually does. But I think it would be a little bit different. If you ever seen Xenoverse, and how they actually like how the Majins fight, it's kind of like different from the other races. I would say that Deku would actually like, stretch his arm to actually hit the guy from the well, never mind. He would do like a jump, but I think he would like halfway through he would stretch his arm to hit him like halfway through the jump, and it would actually like knock down the robot, and he wouldn't really suffer any backlash from it because of how his body works. It's like elastic and things like that. So Uraraka would still hit him to kind of like save him, even though he didn't really need it. So she would get hero points from that, and Deku, I think, would get one of the higher scores because of this. How he was able to like instantly like take out robots because of his candy beam. Combine that with the hero points he just got for saving Uraraka or Chaco. So I think he would get number 1, and then Bakugo would get number 2. So yeah, I think I'll end it here, and then I'll do the other, the quirk exam and the hero versus villains in the next part. So remember, like, comment, and subscribe, and I would say prototype part 7 is coming out tomorrow, hopefully. So yeah, so this is the end of the video. So yeah.